Icebox is injured and out for revenge. Will Mr. Mean get the deep freeze? Skinny Minnie is ready to mop up the floor with Sweet Stephanie. And the twins remain in serious jeopardy.
Rock and roller games. Rock and roller games. Rock and roller games. Rock and roller games.
All tonight on RollerGames.
It is their first rematch since the great robbery of opening day. Hello again, everyone. With David Sams, I'm Chuck Underwood from the Super Roller Dome, where tonight the world champion T-Birds say they have a score to settle.
And that score is with the Violators. Simply put, it's been since opening day that these two teams have just been waiting for this moment to get back together again. The bottom line is, the T-Birds were robbed in opening day, and this is their first opportunity to get the Violators.
And now, here's one of the biggest revenge games ever.
And coming through the smoke-filled tunnel and into the arena are the Bonnie and Clyde of RollerGames, the Violators.
Watch out! You better ask your mother whether you can watch this game, because it could be devastating, especially when the skull, the cranium commander of these Violators, turns this tribe loose on the birds.
It's a tribe led by Mr. Mean, Harold Jackson, and when the ladies are up, Sweet Stephanie Garcia.
Oh, she has a degree in rudeness, and she knows how to use it. These sadistic barbarians are a bunch of savages. I'll tell you, they plan on just plucking the birds' feathers one by one.
Let's go down now to our trackside reporter, Shelly Jamison.
Things in the locker room were getting hot and heavy tonight prior to the big rematch against the two arch rivals. The big question is, how will the Thunderbirds do without the Icebox? I talked to Thunderbird manager Ralphie Violators earlier. He says they're going to do just fine despite the loss of Icebox and his deep freeze. We'll see what happens.
Now for the T-Birds, the world champions who are going to be coming through the tunnel without their man-mountain Icebox Robert Smith.
But nevertheless, you're looking at the greatest team in the history of the sport, led by, there he is, number 8, Ralphie Violators, the living legend, the man that is destined for the Hall of Fame. You know and I know that he deserves to be there, and hopefully he will make it. We'll find out later in this game whether or not Ralphie Violators will get that big dream, that dream he's wanted all of his life, and that is his skates in gold on that Hall of Fame mantle.
When Little Rocky began in this sport in 1951, the skates were wooden wheel. It was a different era then, and if he skates in the month of January, he will have been active on the track for 5 decades. That is quite a track record.
This is gonna be one game, Chuck, because Stars and Stripes tonight is going to take on Mr. Mean. And I'll tell you, even though the Icebox is out with that big injury, I think Stars and Stripes will make a... Oh, wait a minute. Here he comes, the Icebox. He's going to lend his team a little moral support tonight. There's no way that they could keep him home. Just no way. That's how great this player is.
You're looking at a man who is a faithful follower of the Roseanne Barr weight loss program. And we'll take a look now at 2 weeks ago in the injury that prompted that shoulder harness.
Unbelievable. What happened is that Mr. Mean and the Monster Man teamed up on the Icebox. They tried to melt down his big deep freeze play, and in the process, they just absolutely devastated the Icebox and injured him. And here he is right there. You see that major injury on that shoulder, a devastating blow to these T-Birds.
The game begins with the guards for each team instantly falling in a heap on the floor, battling each other. Meanwhile, the two jetters are going through the jet wave for points. Stars and Stripes in the red, white, and blue gets 3 steps above the 6-point line. He gets 2 over the jet jump. Meanwhile, Bill Hook Reed the Hook, just now going overboard, got only a total of 4 through the jetway. Now Stars and Stripes will try to get individual points. There he gets 1 by passing a Violator.
Yes!
And another as he gets by Shifty Bob Sendejas. And a third, and he's knocked out with just a few seconds left in the cycle. There is still now a 4th point, and he is dancing around them, boogieing past Violators. An excellent start as the cycle ends for the T-Birds. They lead 12-4.
Unbelievable. There he is, Young Glory, Stars and Stripes. Matt Bickham, he's probably the greatest skater of the day. Definitely one of the major Rookie of the Year contenders. But I'll tell you, it's hard to tell which one of these T-Birds are the best because they're all the greatest skaters that have ever seen this track and that this sport has ever seen on the track.
Stars and Stripes is now going to block for a bit. He has handed the Jetters helmet to BB Blockbuster Billy Bob Bibbas. And Shifty Bob Sandeas is behind Billy Bob in the black.
Not quite enough on that.
2 points per man on the wall of death, and over the jump, they both get 2 as well. Now to pass those opponents and pick up single points back on the main concourse. Man overboard, that's Billy Bob Bibbas, the jetter for the T-Birds leaving the track. Stars and Stripes is able to trip up Shifty. Billy Bob trying to get back on the track is decked again. Seconds remaining in this 45-second scoring cycle. Shifty will try to pass, and he does pass Billy Bob Bibbas again. And the cycle will have been a good one for the Violators.
Now here's how you score on the wall of death. Above that top line, you get 6 points if you take 3 big strides. Below it, you get 2 points. And on the sky jump, you get 6 points if you make it over that 12-foot marker. 2 points behind it.
Well, you might now be looking at top to bottom the best list of raw physical athletes in all of RollerGames. Mr. Mean leads the Violators, and he is going to be jetting this upcoming cycle. I believe Shifty's going to hand him the Jetters helmet, and we look for little Ralphie Violators to be jetting for the T-Birds.
You're about ready to get the opportunity of a lifetime to see the living legend on the great Super Concourse. This man has earned respect the hard way by playing by the rules.
He gets a double whip. It'll get him 2 points. Ahead of him, Mr. Mean also got only above that 2-point line. They both get doubles coming off the jet jump as well.
I don't know. I thought Mr. Mean got the full 6 coming off the jump.
But the referee says, no, just 2. Mr. Mean goes down, by the way. Ralphie's going to come around again and be facing Mr. Mean as the cycle ends.
What a move!
An attempted screamer by Mr. Mean fails as Ralphie goes underneath.
And this full capacity crowd here in the Super Roller Dome loves what they see. Uh-oh.
Well, perhaps not that. That's Stars and Stripes trying to come to the rescue and being dropped instantly by Mr. Mean.
Throw him into the penalty part. There's no room for that kind of play out there.
Ralphie's a bit dazed. Violators need some points. They trail the T-Birds, who are midway through the first period. Each period, remember, is a 6-minute clock that never stops. There's Mr. Mean putting on the pads. So he'll sit out this cycle, and the jetter for the Violators will be the Hook, Bill Hook Reed, as well as Speedy Gonzalez, number 3 for the T-Birds. And there they go, heading for that 2-point line, and the Hook gets it. Well, but now they say, no, he didn't get the full 3 steps, so neither jetter got points on the wall. They both got 2 on the jump. Adios to Speedy, and that clears the track for number 5, the Hook. Looking for his mark.
Down.
Well, Speedy tries to re-enter and is dropped again. Now the Hook slows down, waits for blocking to get ahead of him. Number 3 is the killer, Greg Robertson, blazing a trail for him. Good individual points back on the main concourse for the Violators as the cycle ends, and now the Violators have made it a 2-point game. The T-Birds lead 26-24.
I think the Violators have just about cleared this entire T-Bird team off the track.
Well, David mentioned that this game is a rematch of the opening night championship Commissioner's Cup Series. You'll recall that we were able to showcase the 2 semifinal games and then the championship game that had begun with all 6 teams of this sport.
It was the night that set the stage for the season. Right here you see for the very first time the Icebox absolutely devastate the Monster Man with his now very famous deep freeze play. And then later, when the T-Birds took on the Violators, they were robbed in the final seconds of sudden death when the T-Bird Gator Skater was thrown into the alligator pit when absolutely out of nowhere the Skull interfered with gameplay and threw the T-Bird Gator Skater off track. And tonight is finally the one night that the T-Birds are coming back for revenge.
And they're on the track, and this will probably be the final cycle of the opening period, so the ladies are stretching their legs on the infield getting ready as Stars and Stripes jets for the T-Birds, and the enforcer, Tony Trujillo, number 2 for the Violators. He'll be first up. He gets above the 2-point line, while Stars and Stripes gets all 6, and he gets an additional 6 on the jet jump. Nicely done by Stars and Stripes, who then drops the enforcer. Stars and Stripes is the highest score in the league at this point in the season. He'll now try to get around Mr. Mean. No easy task, as he is finding out. 10 seconds left in the cycle. Billy Bob Bibbas cleans out Mr. Mean and knocks two other Violators, one of them the killer, into the infield, cleaning out his own bench. That finishes the cycle. And it's been a cycle in which Stars and Stripes has scored 16 points, and the Enforcer and the Violators a total of only 4. So it's a 14-point lead here at the end of the first period.
And there's the icebox. He's walking off the track. Chuck, he looks awfully disappointed tonight. He really wanted to play in this game.
Injured shoulder, and this surely for him is the big rematch that, like all of his teammates, he had been pointing towards. Let's go down now to Shelly Jamison.
I'm here with the T-Bird Twins right now. We're waiting for the voting
Yeah.
results. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I know America's going to vote for us because we're really confident they're going to put us back on the team.
What are you two guys? Get up! Look at it! Oh, it's Sweet Stephanie. And it's looking ugly. I'm getting out now. It may get ugly. Sweet Stephanie does not believe in the T-Bird Twins.
Well, most athletes prepare for competition by stretching the muscles. Sweet Stephanie warms up with a few hot words and a shove or two.
Uh-oh, we have trouble down there on the sidelines, too.
Well, even the cheerleaders are into it. Egads, end of the first period. When we return, the Twins and Stephanie will duke it out on the track.
Look for War exclusives on YouTube.
Probably the top two teams in the league are showcased tonight here in the Super Roller Dome, the T-Birds and the Violators. We begin the second period of play with the ladies up, and the ladies of the T-Birds are enjoying a 14-point lead handed to them by their men. Their jetter is going to be Gina Go-Go Gonzalez. And behind her, the Flea Paula Wilson. Well, despite the whip, David, both got 2 on the wall of death, and they got an additional 2 apiece coming over the jet jump. Now they come upon those rear blockers, and number 1 is Skinny Minnie. She'll try to slow down the Flea. She goes down herself, though, manages to trip the Flea. Around sidecar she goes. That's a single point. Aiming for more black jerseys. Around Nasty Nancy, who gets railed. And still a third player. She ends the cycle and widening the lead to 16 for the T-Birds.
Chuck, it's great to see the T-Bird Twins back at home on the Birds, but I don't know for how long, but more on that controversy in a minute. But first, tonight, they're going to have to face Sweet Stephanie, who, of course, is not all that sweet.
There she is. Lightning bolt cutting across her face. That's the team logo that she permits only herself to wear. Electric Randy Whitman is going to jet for the T-Birds, and Nasty Nancy Wilkinson is behind her in the black of the Violators, and up they go to that 14-foot-high wall of death. 2 points per lady on the wall, and 2 per person on the jump. And Randy is in trouble. Her helmet flies. She manages to teeter on the rail.
Knocked off.
Nasty Nancy, meanwhile, moving as Electric Randy finally does topple. That's the corker, the blonde, who is trying to prevent Nasty Nancy from getting around. But up comes Stephanie, and down goes the corker, and on goes Nasty Nancy. And the Violators are going to score 7 in this cycle, only 4 for the T-Birds. So now it's 57-44 T-Birds.
There's Christine Van Golder, one of the T-Bird Twins. Looks as though she's faced a slight injury out there with a cut lip. But you know, Chuck, what she, along with this T-Bird lineup, is really concerned about tonight is, of course, the future of Ralphie and the Twins. Will they remain on this team for good? There, of course, is Ralphie right there, comforting Christine. And there's her sister, Jennifer. Soon we'll learn whether or not these two will be permitted to stay on the T-Birds or whether they'll be split up and sent to other teams.
Fresh cycle. Gina Go-Go Gonzalez and the Flea Paula Wilson head for the wall of death. They want to get 3 steps above either that lower 2-point line, or if they can, 3 steps above the 6, but they only got the 3 above that lower line, so they get 2.
They came real close.
Coming over the jet jump, they didn't clear that 12-foot line, which would have gotten them 6 points. Instead, they just get 2. Now they're scrambling to catch up. Less than 20 seconds left in the cycle. That's Sweet Stephanie rear blocking Go-Go. The Flea, meanwhile, is laying back, picking her spot. Sweet Stephanie's taking care of Go-Go. And there goes the Flea, passing Skinny Minnie for a point. Getting around Debbie McCorkle. And working on, and with a second left, passing Electric Randy for still another.
The Flea is on a roll tonight.
Well, she has pulled her team from what was a 13-point deficit to now just 10.
And here's a look at that Violator team, led, of course, by number 1, Sweet Stephanie.
New jetters. Skinny Minnie is going to don the helmet for the T-Birds, and it will be Sweet Stephanie. And those are the Violator cheerleaders you saw there for the Violators. The whistle starts the cycle. And in this first lap, remember, the idea is just to build up speed for that wall of death. There's Skinny Minnie. She has become quite a crowd favorite here in the Dome and around the country as well. Sweet Stephanie first up above the 2-point, but in the air, she comes back down. No points because she fell. Meanwhile, Skinny Minnie gets 2 on the wall and 2 on the jump, and Sweet Stephanie is going to try to catch up. She may not be able to score any points, so she may end up playing defense. Skinny Minnie dashing around 1, and now 2 Violators, so she gets 2 points. Around Nasty Nancy for a third. A whip from Jennifer Van Gelder. And underneath Sweet Stephanie, whose attempted screamer misses badly.
Once again!
And there's a flying foot block on Nasty Nancy, and Stephanie's down again, and Skinny Minnie is taking names.
Skinny Minnie is pulling her weight up down the track tonight.
All 105 pounds of weight. Well, it was a punishing cycle for Sweet Stephanie. Let's take a look at all 3 falls.
Well, in this very special triple roller motion, we see Sweet Stephanie take a tumble on the wall of death simply because she did not get a good whip. And then, moments later on the main concourse, Skinny Minnie does it to her once again as she slides right under Sweet Stephanie, who misses with the screamer play. And then, if that's not enough, this is the humiliating part right here when Skinny Minnie absolutely decks Sweet Stephanie and she falls to the ground, bringing the first half to a dead stop.
With the T-Birds leading the Violators by 15. And momentarily, Wally George will update the voting.
Wally George here at Rollers Sports Central. Well, I just can't believe it, folks. Just when we thought we'd reached an end to this controversy that we're all fed up with, comes this statement from the commissioner.
Commissioner, I understand that the voting has been delayed.
Yes, it had to be because we do suspect voting irregularities. I'm not going to accuse anybody, but there's been enough shenanigans going on since the beginning of this season. We're not going to tolerate anything more. We've had alligators, we've had Georgia hosses, we've had all of these black and black. It's too much. No irregularities. The voting results will be delayed 1 week, and I promise you, the final result will be delivered next week on this program.
Here with us live is Georgia Haas. Georgia, what do you have to say for yourself, Ms. Haas?
I have nothing to say for myself, but I do have something to say to that commissioner, Mr. Bill Griffiths. The T-Birds are stuffing the ballot box, and you better believe it, if I have anything to do with it, there will be trouble going on around
say
here.
enough is enough. Take a hike, your history, Ms. Now it's time for my roller beef. This is for all the punks, weirdos, and street scum who've been sending me letters criticizing my love for America's team, the T-Birds. Here's some of this mail. Let me tell you. You know what I think about this mail? Let me show you. That's what I think about it. Now, let me tell you guys something. There's only one roller team that embodies the values of sportsmanship, hard work, and fair play that have made this country great. And that team, of course, is the T-Birds. Now, there are some people who want to glorify the other teams of the league. Well, let's just look at those other teams, shall we, folks? How about the Violators, an antisocial motorcycle gang? That's all they are. The Rockers, a bunch of tone-deaf weirdos. Hot Flash, vacuous, exhibition-loving Hollywood airheads. The Maniacs, violent, immoral mercenaries, and finally, Bad Attitude. These are the guys and gals who were actually kicked off other teams. They're the worst of the bunch, and boy, that singes my jockey shorts. Where are the role models for tomorrow's young people? I'll tell you where they are. They're on the T-Birds. That's where. And as long as there's a breath left in this patriotic body, I'm going to use it to scream, T-Birds, 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 from every rooftop in the United States of America, no matter what any pea-brained bunch of losers says. I'm Wally George, and I appreciate your comments.
The opinions of Wally George practically never reflect those of the producers.
Skaters returning to the track, preparing for the third period.
The Maniacs battled the Rockers earlier this season in the Super Roller Dome. Rockin' Ray scores 4 points on the jetway, but watch Little Richard meet Mr. Concrete.
On the jet jump. Now they're setting up for some blocking. Little Richard tries a block. Touches the top of the rail, and Little Richard is down.
See it again now in super slow roller motion. It's a good takeoff, but a crash landing thanks to some fast maneuvering by Rockin' Ray.
Now here's how you score on the wall of death. Above that top line, you get 6 points. If you take 3 big strides, below it 2 points. And of course, on the jump, it's 6 points. If you make it over that 12-foot marker, and 2 points behind it. But of course, if you fall, you do not get the points. And there, Chuck, is a shot of my favorite cheerleader, Renee. Boy, just look at that smile. Isn't she something else?
She is smiling because her T-Birds enjoy a 15-point lead on the Violators as we begin the third period. Electric Randy is going to be jetting for the T-Birds, and Sweet Stephanie in the black for the Violators, but she's not going to make it to the jetway. Electric Randy clears her out, gets no points above that 2-point line because she only got 2 steps instead of the necessary 3. She did get 2 over the jet jump before she dropped Sweet Stephanie.
Electric Randy is someone that we're going to see a lot of this season.
She's passing those black jerseys and scoring individual points each time she does so. And she is after Sweet Stephanie again. And do you get the feeling that Sweet Stephanie's in trouble? Yep.
She goes sailing over the rail.
And Electric Randy taps that electric red hair, stops the cycle, and the T-Birds widen their lead. It is a double-figure spread right now, but it's still early as Sweet Stephanie tries to stop the spinning.
Boy, she really shocked her that time. Look at that hair.
She spends perhaps as much time off the track as on. And there's that look of anguish. And on the scoreboard, there is a look of anguish for the Violators.
Well, she certainly doesn't spin in the beauty parlor.
She goes to the infield, and it will be a rookie for her team. Sidecar, Lauren Hollywell, jetting this next 45-second scoring cycle. The corker, Debbie McCorkle, is going to take the helmet from Electric Randy and jet for the T-Birds. Building up speed as they approach that wall of death and head for the 2-point and 6-point lines. There's the corker, still with a bad ankle that has troubled her most of the season, but she nonetheless gets 2 on the wall, as does Sidecar. They both go down, but apparently kept their balance just long enough that the referee is going to give them 2 points on the jump. Tough call, perhaps.
That's the one thing you don't want to do is fall coming off that jump, because you can break an axle on the skate, and that can be a costly move.
Well, remember this figure-8 track with a jump, as you see Sidecar finishing up the cycle, and it will have been a good one for the Violators. 3 seconds left, and the Violators are going to now pull to within 17 points. But the point we wanted to make is this is a figure-8 track that for the first time really stresses the skates because there's a jump involved, that 3-foot jet jump. Axles had to be strengthened. The wheels take a pounding with the jump. This sport, for all of its existence, dating back actually to 1935 when it debuted in Chicago, was a banked oval track. No jump, no wall of death. So the technology of the sport now has to try to keep up with this new figure-8 in all that it does to challenge the equipment. Electric Randy, number 4, and behind her, Nasty Nancy Wilkinson, and each gets the necessary 3 steps above the 2-point line on the wall. They both get 2 on the jump. Electric Randy looking ahead, quite the veteran. She'll try to make her move on Sweet Stephanie. She's squeezed now, but clears out from behind Nasty Nancy. Well, there they are, locked in mortal combat again. How many times we've seen this? So much for scoring points. They're going to settle some old scores, and Sweet Stephanie ends up face down. There's Vicky Orgill going down, and Randy scrambles in the final seconds to pass one final jersey, and she does, passing the flea, and a celebration by her.
Electric Randy's really turning on the juice tonight.
She got a total of 7 points. The Violators got only 4, so it's 83 to 63.
I don't believe it. There he is. The Icebox has come out into the Super Rollerdome, and he is now in his uniform. What could this mean? I can't believe that he would absolutely put his life in jeopardy by coming out, and I can't believe that he would even try to skate. Is that what's going to happen?
Well, 2 periods ago, remember, the Icebox came out onto the track in street clothes, supposedly as just a pedestrian viewer of this game. But now he's in harness, literally, with that shoulder harness and uniform. Here we go. It will be the Corker, Debbie McCorkle, leading the flea, Paula Wilson, up to the wall of death, and they get above the 2-point line, and so both get deuces there. And over the jump, just by landing safely on their feet, they get 2 as well.
Chuck, I can't believe that we have to wait another week to see whether or not Ralphie and the twins will remain on the T-Birds and whether Ralphie's going to make it into the Hall of Fame. But I guess the commissioner had no other choice but to make the decision that he made.
The flea, Paula Wilson, got 3 quick points back on the main concourse. There she is. She pulls her Violators to within 17 points as the Icebox harnesses up for the 4th period, which is now perhaps just 1 more cycle away. The ladies are about done for the night.
I just can't believe that the Icebox would take such a chance.
Nice finale here in this ending cycle for the ladies. It's going to be that great rivalry of Electric Randy and Sweet Stephanie.
No way.
And there's the bad shoulder that's getting a massage from Gina Gogo.
I just can't believe it.
A whip by Jennifer Van Gelder, and up goes Electric Randy. Oh, they're going to take the low road.
What was that?
I have no idea. They apparently didn't get enough speed from the whips to even attempt to jump. Down goes Sweet Stephanie.
Oh, Randy made the best of it.
Now she'll go for points. A whip from the Corker. She passes 1 black jersey
Come on,
and another for a second point. Can she get around the flea? Yeah. 3 points for Electric Randy. Time running out in the quarter, and look at this match. The final seconds. Grabbing the leg and turning Sweet Stephanie into a wishbone.
Unbelievable. Oh, was that her version of the deep freeze?
The 3rd period has come to a close, and look at the red hair.
Oh, here we go. The tug of war between the redheads. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, Electric Randy is giving Sweet Stephanie a shampoo job.
Rather disgusting form of baptism there. Sweet Stephanie drowning. That rail is broken because that same piece of it was broken a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I have never seen anything like this. Sweet Stephanie is so humiliated. Look at her go.
Bellowing in anguish, and isn't her mother proud at this moment?
Oh, my goodness gracious. And Sweet Stephanie is absolutely, oh, look at that. Randy is just eating it up alive, Chuck.
The T-Birds lead now by 21.
Oh, they love her.
Sweet Stephanie's going to reach for a towel. The men are preparing to come up for the 4th, and let us now go down to the infield where Shelly Jamison is standing by.
I'm here with Icebox. He's got his sling off. What does this mean? Are you going to skate? You've got your uniform on.
This is something I have to do. Harold Jackson has got problems. I hope he's real thirsty, because I'm going to give him a drink tonight.
Ooh, not the alligator pit.
Watch out.
Ooh, the deep freeze? Oh, it could be nasty. This man has some major moves. Chuck and Dave, back to you. We'll see what happens.
Unbelievable, Chuck.
Okay, Shelly, the men are coming up. We've reached the end of 3, and the T-Birds lead the Violators 95 to 74.
Look for War exclusives online.
The men are up, starting the 4th period, and the Violators are in deep doo-doo. They need 21 points to catch the T-Birds. They're going to jet Mr. Mean, Harold Jackson, their top gun. Up he goes to the wall of death and gets an easy 6 points. Meanwhile, Dynamite Dell didn't even make a pass at the jetway. 6 points off the jet jump for Mr. Mean, so he has already outscored the opposition in this cycle. 13-14, now 15-0. And just like that, the Violators are back in the game.
Oh, there he goes, Chuck. He's going
second
for a
pass. And this time on his own without a whip, he gets only 2, but over the jump, what can he do? They're going to give him 6. He goes down on his own, stops the cycle. They do give him the 6, and Mr. Mean has just outscored the T-Birds 26-0. The Violators had trailed by 21, and in a blink, they now lead by 5. And despite what he did, he's mad at somebody.
Chuck, that just goes to show you that when this man right here focuses in on skating instead of fighting, he can rack up points like a demon. That must be a record for the season. 26 points in one scoring cycle.
He has passed the helmet to the enforcer, Tony Trujillo, who will be first up to the wall of death, and Speedy Gonzalez is not going to make the jetway. Second consecutive cycle that the T-Birds have not had a shot at the big points that you get through the jetway. Back now on the main concourse, there is the enforcer, who got 2 on the wall, 2 on the jump, is coming up on rear blocker Billy Bob Bibas, and he's dropping him for a single point. Next man up is Speedy Gonzalez, and so long, Speedy. There's a second point and a third as he gets around Stars and Stripes, and the Violators are roaring to life here in the 4th period. Under 5 seconds left in the cycle, the enforcer stops it, celebrates, wallowing in the moment, and the Violators now up their lead to 13.
Once again, we know a lot of you out there want to know whether or not Ralphie's going to go into the Hall of Fame and at the same time be able to continue skating for the T-Birds. And of course, you want to know whether the T-Bird twins will remain on this team or be split up for good. Well, we were hoping to bring you the results tonight, but the commissioner said no. There were some problems with the voting. He says it may be funny business. So next week, we'll give you the outcome.
Well, speaking of funny business, isn't that a funny sight?
I can't believe it. I can't believe you'd take this chance.
The ice box is jetting. Contradiction in terms almost. How high up the wall will he get? Well, there's your answer. 0 points with the bullet.
Watch this, Chuck. There he goes. Yes! The ice box does his thing and racks up the big ones. He came out right when the T-Birds needed him. But they're going to need a lot more than that because they're still behind.
7 points down after the ice box plays 10 pins. It's 108-101. The box got 4 just by crashing the pile and then passing it. And there he is, nose to nose with Mr. Mean.
Come on, Mr. Mean. You're talking about an injured player here. Leave the man alone. You already did him in 2 weeks ago.
Back to action as referee Paul Gallegos blows that whistle, saying, get thee to the starting zone.
Boy, I'd love to see the ice box just give this guy the deep freeze and chill out Mr. Mean's mean streak once and for all.
Well, he's exhausted. He had to jet that time. He's not used to that. Shoulder's a little sore.
It's that shoulder, Chuck.
Dynamite Daryl Davis is going to be jetting in the red, white, and blue of the T-Birds, and ahead of him is the powerful skater, the killer, Greg Robertson, number 3, a whip from Mr. Mean. Good speed above the 2 and above the 6-point line, and he got 6, and so did Dynamite Daryl.
Very nice.
Over the jump, they both get 2. Down goes Dynamite. The killer moves on. Can he get around the cagey one, Ralphie Valladares? Number 2 there, and going down is Billy Bob Bibas, undercut by Mr. Mean, and now the killer is really making tracks. Got a couple of quick points there. Ralphie is keeping him to the outside. Killer trying to catch up, loses the helmet. Ralphie is riding into the outside.
Yes,
and over as the killer is tied into a knot on the rail, and the cycle ends.
Why did that one ever hurt?
It's a 3-point game, and the killer must be singing the old Carly Simon tune, I haven't got time for the pain.
And I'm sure that he's in plenty of it. Now let's take another look at that play in roller motion as Ralphie Valladares, the living legend and that former speed skating champion, sends the killer into the rail and at the feet of the Violator cheerleaders.
Now what will probably be the final cycle of the game. And it's going to be little Ralphie jetting for his T-Birds and Mr. Mean, who will be first up. He's on balance and perhaps in trouble.
He almost went
and he
over the wall.
hangs at the top of
Ralphie.
the rail, taking them both down. And now we see referee Paul Gallegos throwing his penalty flag. Mr. Mean is going to be charged with interference on the wall of death because he hung on the top rail. That means that Ralphie's going to get a quick 6 points for that. Very hard and a very steep tumble for Mr.
Ralphie
Mean.
scores more. He's going to rack them up. Now it's going to make it very difficult for the Violators to come back unless Mr. Mean can scrape himself floor and come back and battle Ralphie. We've got 10 seconds to go. 9, 8. It looks as though the T-Birds are going to come back. It looks as though they're finally going to beat the Violators. They're going to get the ultimate revenge. The T-Birds win. They win. They beat the Violators. They do it to them finally.
Mr. Mean just now getting back on the track. What an extraordinary fall he took at the hands of little Ralphie.
Yes. The T-Birds win. Oh, here we go. The Battle of the Bulls versus the Mr. Sadistic Mr. Barbet. Oh, come on. Oh, you cannot choke the living legend. Oh, Mr. The Icebox just dumped Mr. Mean into the pit. He goes in for the 3rd week in a row. He is humiliated in front of this worldwide audience of millions. Chuck, this is unbelievable. It's a devastating blow to that man's ego.
A personal defeat for Mr. Mean, not to mention the team defeat by the hand of the T-Birds.
The T-Birds win. The T-Birds win.
Final score is going to be 128 to 120, and another final score, Icebox 1, Mr. Mean 0.
That's going to be one great party tonight as the T-Birds absolutely devastate the Violators. And now, War's coverage of RollerGames continues.
And it continues with the post-game party. Here now is DC Getchell with this sports theme song. Defeated the Violators 128 to 120. Electric Randy railed Sweet Stephanie. The T-Birds derailed the Violators.
Look for War exclusives on YouTube.
In the final seconds of tonight's game, number 8, Ralphie Violators cleared out Mr. Mean of the Violators as Mr. Mean went down over one of the steepest parts of this bank track. He lay there for a while, but as you can see now with the live shot, he has rebounded rather quickly and has the Spitfire and Venom back. But it was a defeat for the Violators, whose cheerleaders are trying to hang in there. Let's go down now to David Sams with the winning team.
I'm standing here with a very victorious T-Bird team. A great victory victory tonight against the Violators. They finally got revenge. But the big question is, will Ralphie make it to the Hall of Fame, and will the T-Bird twins return for good to the T-Birds? Ralphie, good luck in that Hall of Fame vote.
I think vote for America, let America vote, and then I can go wrong.
That's right, that's right. And of course, we'll have that big Hall of Fame next week with the big All-Stars. Yes, yeah, woo! Yeah, America's team has returned. Back to you, John.
So David gets carried off of all things, and it quiets in the dome here, or at least it will momentarily. It is all over. The T-Birds have avenged an earlier defeat. Mr. Mean has gone into the swamp again. Final score 128 to 120.
Next week, it's the big All-Star Game. Tell your friends all about it and watch RollerGames when all of your favorite stars hit the track. That's next week on RollerGames. And now, call your favorite radio stations and tell them to play the theme from RollerGames, Rock and Roller Games from the RollerGames soundtrack. It is absolutely dead!